Hi, this is another episode of IFC's Spotlight, a show that celebrates indie film and the artists that make them. We are here with Margarita and Stacey from BESTIES Make Movies. Can you two tell us a little bit more about yourselves and what you do?
Yes, we are a female-led production company. We love it. We are actually best friends who make movies together.
We make movies together and we love each other very deeply.
We do. Creative soulmates, if you will. I'm a writer, director, actor, editor, producer, kind of like...
Did you say writer?
I did.
Okay,
I started with writer. Though I don't always start with writer, so there you go. And you are many of those things also.
Yes, I act is my number one thing. I write sometimes and I produce pretty often. Also about the company, our mission is to highlight voices and raise up communities that don't often see themselves represented. And we like to do that behind the scenes with our crew and in front of the camera with our cast. And we like to keep our sets as green and eco-friendly as possible while doing it.
And our content is immodest, provocative, and unfiltered. Those are our words.
Can I be your bestie now? Wow,
Well, yes.
that's such an important thing in today's society. Is like that's literally also my mission statement, by the way. Is just making these movies and stories for people who don't necessarily get their voices taken out. So can you talk about like why you started this company or why you started BESTIES Make Films and what kind of sparked your soul to get on that mission for you?
I think Stacey and I both started out as actors, and we quickly came to realize the lack of awesome roles. And through being exposed to the world of making our own content, we also became exposed to the fact that there's people outside of ourselves that don't get those opportunities, and there's no point in lifting up one and not the other, and it feels really great to have a broad perspective, and you just like get so many amazing things happening on your set in your stories when it's a well-rounded situation.
Absolutely, and what I would add to that is like, for me, I decided at some point that I didn't want to just be a part of other people's stories that were being told. Like, I wanted to decide what stories were being told, to like have that voice and that creativity, because otherwise it's like everybody else just gets to say, oh, we're going to uplift these characters and show things through that voice. And I think that our world is so much more complex sometimes than films make them out to be, or that even like is allowed to be seen through art. You know, like the voices that we hear are so often not those that like are the most interesting. And I don't know, like I'm not saying that we're the most interesting necessarily,
No, but we like to have a broad representation, and also
yeah, we like to look at things from a perspective that like aren't necessarily what you might see like, you know, mainstream-ish.
And in a sense we can, because we're not beholden to anyone, because we came up from nothing, and so we have nothing to lose. So we're gonna go out there, we're gonna make risks, we're gonna take risks, and we're gonna do shit like even if it makes people uncomfortable.
And then make those stories mainstream. So then those stories become what is commercially viable and financially viable and able to be sustainable. Like that's our goal.
The patriarchy.
Is to be able to like keep these stories going and make them actually like a commercial something.
So as someone else who's trying to get in that kind of mindset and making these films that do create that kind of impact on society, I'm sure there are a ton of challenges that you've faced, like even in just trying to make sets more eco-friendly or anything, or telling certain stories through a certain lens or something. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely, like, at least, I mean, we've come to a place where it's become, I wouldn't say easy, but like definitely maybe easier, but money definitely is like a thing, you know, like just to have an eco-friendly set, for example, like it costs money, you know, to like be green and compost and put the extra effort into making sure that your sets are green is like, it's not the cheapest thing to do. And like we also try to have like vegetarian and vegan sets largely because like that's also more sustainable for the earth.
I think one of the things that have made it possible is bartering and also partnering with companies. Like there's a coffee shop by my house where we film a lot that composts and they pay to do it. So we're regulars there and we're like, hey, when we shoot, can we give you our compost? Like put it in with yours and like we'll give you shout outs, we'll put your name in the credits. Or it'll be like, hey, if you work for a really low rate on our thing, like we'll help you produce your thing. So it's a lot of like believing in ourselves and going above and beyond, because nobody's giving us permission and nobody's giving us funding until very recently. So our secret sauce is like keep fucking going until people start to notice and they want to be a part of what you're doing, which is so fucking cool because it's finally happening.
Yeah, and also ask, like, just talking, like, it's been so cool to see. It's been so cool to like see all these like vegan companies that have donated stuff to our sets, and then like we'll product place them like in movies, and then we have like tons of awesome stuff for Crafty. But like it wasn't really until we started asking, until you're chatting, and we say like, this is our mission, like, can you help and like be a part of that mission? And people were excited about that and like wanted to jump on board. But I think that like sometimes what's so hard is just like giving yourself permission to ask. And I think that like just ask.
So in that, finding that permission and finding that freedom is something that a lot of filmmakers, I think, aren't able to find. And I think acting might have some of that background and like kind of helping push you to get that freedom and pushing you to find that even voice that is inside that allows you to ask these questions. What was it like when I guess that light bulb happened and you're able to kind of find your freedom? Is there a difference between your films that you're making beforehand and your films that you're making afterwards or anything?
I think that it's mostly just like our partnership for me, like I think that we have similar skills, but like we also bring different things to the table. And so it's about saying like, well, I know I'm good at this, I know you're good at this, can you handle this today, can you handle this today? And knowing that you have a partner, and like we have other people on our team too who like really like want to do these things and come together, so it doesn't always feel like all on my shoulders or all on your shoulders. Like we have a team like making those things happen, and we say a lot.
The biggest change in what we do is the team that we have now. I think like we're telling the same stories. We haven't like sold out to a more commercial thing. Like we're still making a point to tell stories that matter, and we're saying no to more projects that don't really represent that. And I had something else to say. Unconditional support of each other, I think, is incredible. That's worth more than money, because you could say like, there's just so much you can do. Like if I know Stacey's stressed out because she's doing a million things, like maybe I can't edit, but I can do her dishes. Like we will.
She like literally just did my dishes because I was like on an editing deadline and I was like freaking out. And she came over and we had dinner because we had to have a meeting with like our producers. And so I was like, can everybody please come to me because like I'm in the middle of this deadline and like we can do the meeting, but like I have to like go back right after. And she's
never
like,
asked me to do the dishes.
I would never have asked you to do my dishes.
But it's like you just know what the other person needs. You start to become in sync. And the other thing is like asking for different gear deals from rental houses, asking for sponsorships. Those are things we learned when we brought more people on our team, because again, like having a wider variety of worldviews helps you discover new shit.
We also we have these executive producers right now who are helping us make our feature that we're currently making, and they once asked us, they were like, you guys seem like so confident, like how do you do that? And I'm like, we're both so like, we have so many inner demons, and he was like, well, how do you like work through them? And I'm like, well, I just like work through the doubt. Like I just keep working, because I'm like, if I keep going and I keep like that, then like eventually I'll start to like understand that like, okay, like I can do this. And so like I just keep going. You said something else really great that day.
Go faster than the demons.
Yeah, go faster. You were like, move faster than them.
Faster,
and I work harder than them, so like I think that was like, when he asked us that and we said those things, I was like, oh, that is so true about both of us, that like that's what we do to like make that happen.
I had something else, but it's gone. Well, we have been learning that self-care is very important, and like taking some time off. Like today we went rock climbing and that was amazing.
It was super fun.
But we're best friends, so we still did it together.
So what's coming up next for you guys? What are you doing?
Well, we are currently like in the middle of shooting our feature. It's called Triple Threat. Keep an eye out for it. It's super exciting. I'm directing it and co-writing it, and
one of the stars in it.
Yes, and Mars is one of the stars and also producing it, and it's an independent feature film narrative, and it has 5 original songs in it because it also has this musical, this like really gritty Mad Max style musical. So it's about these 3 friends that in college decide they want to create a musical and take it to Broadway, and it spans 10 years.
And we end up flipping the script because the real story is about evaluating society's values of human children versus creative children. And so it's 2 women, played by us, and 1 male friend, played by J.D. Yonker.
Who's the co-writer also.
And he decides he wants to have a baby. And sort of, our characters are like, no, well, we're down to help out, but like
He asks them, he's a single man, and he decides that he wants to have a baby. And he asks his 2 female best friends to help him have this child. So one of them gives an egg, and the other one becomes the surrogate. And it sort of flips the script on like women who like, you know, hit 30 and like want to have a baby, and it like we make that a male character. Personal, professional lines, like
like so much inclusion, people of all kind. It's really fun to be on set. Like people on set will notice and be like, "Wow, there's a lot of different people here." And we're like, "Hell yeah!" And like different levels in the field, different ethnicities, different socioeconomic, like everything. It gives me chills.
I love your views on intersectionality and everything you're doing with it. So tell us, how can we find you, where do we find you, and where can we find your films?
You can follow us on Instagram, Besties Make Movies, Facebook, Besties Make Movies. It's at Besties Movies without the make on Twitter. Yeah, we're fairly active on the social. You can follow our like our pages, like the Triple Threat Facebook page. Like you'll see all the things. Lots of fun, like behind the scenes of Besties content on those channels.
We're expanding, we're growing, so get on our boat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been lovely interviewing you.
Yeah, really.